So as season 4 of Insecure moves along, I am slowly but surely seeing the demise of Molly and Issa's friendship. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to Libra Views. I'm Charlene. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share this video on social media. So it's a beautiful day. Like, as you can see, the sun is busting through my windows. You know, don't mind the bars. You know, I live in the city. I live in Baltimore City, so you know, it's just how it is around here. But it's a beautiful day, and I felt like I'm gonna go in here and talk about Insecure because this episode was really, to me, it was really packed with a lot of stuff, a lot of information, and Molly and Issa, they getting into some things, okay? So the episode opens up and Issa's on her computer in her living room, you know, planning for the block party, trying to get the headliner, which is going to be Schoolboy Q, or so we think. And, you know, she's preparing for that. And she starts rapping, you know. And I love Issa's, like, little, like, quirky, you know, her freestyling. And, you know that she only really does it when she's by herself. And I just love Insecure for that because it really, it's like some millennial shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that's really relatable because it's something that I do. I'll do some quirky, weird, or rhyme something, or sing a random song from my childhood, you know. And, you know, so Issa's rapping is just really, it's everything to me. And so she gets a knock on her door, and when she opens the door, the entire community, okay, is outside. And they are basically pissed off because they have no water. And what I thought was funny is how everybody just walked into the house. You know, they didn't care. And, you know, the boy was ragging on her. The one guy was like, it smelled like flowers in here. Just funny as shit. It smelled like flowers in here. It smelled like outside or something like that. It's just funny as shit, right? So the scene moves on, and Molly is at home on her computer. And I figured out her boyfriend. You know how, like, my last review, I couldn't really remember Andrew's name. The Korean boyfriend. I was calling him the Korean boyfriend, but his name is Andrew. So Molly is at home on her computer, and she's and Andrew comes over. She starts talking about work as soon as he comes in, and he starts snoring, acting like he's not interested. And so right after, she said, okay, well, you don't want to talk about work. Let's just move on. And then they ended up hunching, fucking, right? Now, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because Andrew, you know, you can listen to, you know, her hard day at work. But then again, as the episode goes along, we see that, you know, Molly's work schedule kind of irritates Andrew. So maybe that's why he didn't want to hear about, you know, work. As soon as he walks in, he's like, girl, like, let's chill. Let's do the damn thing. And that makes sense to me. So then afterwards, Molly gets back on her computer and she realizes, like, damn, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So she gets done her work and she goes into bed and, you know, they smash again. It looks like they have a really good chemistry there. And then the next scene opens up and Issa's at home and she gets a phone call from what I assume is somebody in reference to the block party. And Issa's just so funny. She gets on the phone and fakes like she's the assistant, and then she holds. And she's like, hello, this is Issa. Like, girl, you know you don't have no goddamn assistants. But hey, you know what they say? They say you got to fake it till you make it. And I guess that's just what Issa has to do. So Issa pulls out her phone and, you know, after she got off that phone call and she's looking to reach out to Condola, and she realizes that she has sent Condola multiple texts and Condola has not responded. Issa calls her, you know, she's not responding, and we all know why. Because as I said in my last video, you know, Condola was kind of, Lawrence was, you know, asking her about her ex because of what went down at the Thanksgiving celebration. But Condola expressed her irritation for the fact that, you know, Issa and Lawrence still have, you know, somewhat of an active relationship, considering the fact that they have the same friends, so on and so forth. Excuse me. But nonetheless, Condola is ignoring her ass. Now, the season, the last season ended pretty much when Condola asked Lawrence if Issa never cheated, would he still be with her? And we never got an answer to that. Now, mind you, Condola asked that question last episode. But this episode, now all of a sudden, Condola's MIA and she's not talking to Issa. I wonder why. Next scene, Molly is having a conversation with her co-workers. And it's a group of black females, you know what I'm saying? You know, they cutting ass. They talking to like regular homegirls, you know what I'm saying? And one of their other co-workers, who happens to be a black man, walks past and he's like, hey, you know, I'm about to head out for the night. Do you guys need anything? And Molly says, no, BJ, we don't need anything. Now, BJ says to Molly, like, oh, okay, that's cool. He's like, but just, hey, just a heads up, I don't go by BJ anymore. I go by Bennett. Okay. So Molly's like, okay, cool, whatever. Makes a little joke. He leaves. So after that, she goes back to the conversation with her black co-workers, her homegirls, basically. And they get to talking about Bennett. And, you know, one of the girls assumed that maybe Molly and the guy had some connection. And Molly said, no, you know, he likes snow bunnies pretty much. And basically they started listing off things that basically declared Bennett, BJ, aka Bennett, as someone who prefers snow bunnies. Now, they said that he plays the guitar, that he eats salad. And Molly said something, it was the first thing she said, something about prison, I think. I couldn't really make out what she was saying. But the other two things that they said was playing guitar and eating salad. You know, he's not really into black girls. Now, that's kind of debatable, you know what I mean? And that is definitely a culture, it's definitely a stereotypical, you know, aspect. And that, and a lot of black people, we you know, we have that outlook, you know what I'm saying? And just because somebody, you know, plays the guitar doesn't necessarily mean that they automatically like white girls, or just because somebody eats salad doesn't mean that they automatically like white girls, because we associate black men with eating chicken wings and cheesesteak subs, excuse me, with mumbo sauce with their fries, or salt, pepper, ketchup with their fries. That's what they're used to. A man, they're used to a quote-unquote black man who dates black women as a man who, if he is musically inclined, he might be a beat maker or he might be a rapper. He's not necessarily playing the guitar. You know what I'm saying? Usually it's the corny black guys that, quote-unquote, corny black guys that play guitar and eat salad and eat healthy. And I'm here to tell you that's false, because me, Charlene, I like black men. I love black men, all types of black men, and I play the guitar. Now, I'm not, you know, Jimi Hendrix or anything, but I have a guitar right here. And I'm teaching myself on YouTube, you know, trying to do some things. But you get the motherfucking point of what I'm saying, okay? I got a guitar, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I date black men. I actually prefer black men, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that I'm opposed. You know, I've dated Hispanic men, I've dated biracial men, I've dated white men, you know, but I prefer, you know, black men. And I play the guitar. And how I eat salad. Now, I don't eat it every day for lunch, but I eat salad. But that kind of conversation kind of sheds some light on that stereotypical bullshit, and how us as a community, we need to get out of that, because you'll miss out on a good man just assuming that he likes white girls based on the fact that he plays the guitar or eats salad. You know what I'm saying? So that was that. So as she's with her homegirls, one of the homegirl co-workers was like, she had to get home to deal with her family and deal with some shit. And her other co-worker volunteered, you know, to just stay the night. I mean, you know, not stay the night, but stay extra long at work to finish up, you know, the case they were working on. And Molly, you know, feeling pressured, she volunteered to stay as well. And the co-worker who was dipping out was just like, you know, didn't you have plans to go to some listening party? And she said, yeah, but, you know, it's not a big deal. Like, I'll cancel it. So then she reaches out to Andrew and cancels their plans. So next scene, Issa is driving and she's listening to a podcast. And the podcast, if you really listen, it was about, the person was talking about female relationships, friendships, and it was kind of going in and out, but you can kind of tell that Issa was clearly on her way to go meet Molly, because the next scene, her and Molly get to fighting over a parking spot. And, Issa's trying to get her head in the right mind space to talk to Molly. That's why she was listening to this podcast. Now, they get to going back and forth. Molly's pulling in while Issa's pulling out, and vice versa. And it's just, even with the simplest of parking into a parking spot, there's confliction. You know what I'm saying? Their spirits are just not aligned. You can just clearly tell, So Issa just opted to drive away, and she ended up parking, hella far. And then when she came up, she made like a lighthearted joke like, damn, why wouldn't you just let me park here or something like that? Why didn't you just ask me? And Molly was like, I don't gotta ask you for something that's mine. Just real snappy, You can tell that Molly is is getting irritated with Molly for whatever reason. Molly is getting irritated with Issa for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? As she's before Issa even got to Molly, when she was taking that long ass walk from when she parked her car, her ex Nathan calls her. Now, from what I recall, I think Nathan was that fine ass brown skinned nigga that she met in the Uber. And I don't really remember what happened with that relationship, because like I said, it was so much time. Like I said in my other video, there was so much time and space that has been between Insecure that I low-key kind of like forgot some things. But the name sounded familiar when he called and was just, left that voicemail and, wanted to check on her. I was like, oh, here we go. So Issa finally meets up with Molly, and they get to talking. Lawrence is seeing Tiffany and his friend, his homeboy's baby. And his homeboy's basically talking about, just stupid guy stuff. Like, one day somebody's going to be, bleeping my daughter. And, Lawrence is like, dude, like, don't worry about that. Don't think about that. And then his homeboy started talking about how, they didn't really plan on having a baby, but it's here now, and he just couldn't be happier, basically. And Lawrence, you can tell that he was kind of, the wheels were turning in his head as he was talking about basically starting his family and the new addition to his family. So the scene goes back to, Lawrence is talking to his homeboy with the baby, and then the scene goes over to Kelly, Molly, Issa, and Tiffany all sitting around. And Tiffany, obviously, she's hair is a mess. She just had a baby, and Tiffany says something that was very on point. You know what I'm saying? Childbirth, I always thought the same thing. Growing up, people were like, when you have a baby, it's the most beautiful thing ever. So when I was about 19 years old, I Googled childbirth, saw childbirth, and I was mortified. I said, what the hell? This is horrible. And so that's basically what Tiffany said. She said childbirth is ugly and it hurts, And so they get to talking about how, so this was really important. Tiffany basically talks about how when she was in the hospital, she was having complications, and she had to really stay on the doctor's ass for them to further investigate her complications, and then ultimately found out that she had a blood clot. And it goes back to the whole facts and statistics that Black women, are the most affected by childbirth difficulties. There's a lot of more fatalities in African American women, Black women in America when they have children. And people say that some of it is partially due to the doctors, not really caring, about Black women, and not listening to Black women's concerns, and, not really caring and just wanting to do the job and get them out there. So that was really crazy, and I loved how they put that in there. So as they're talking, Issa had made a comment, and Molly had took it, a wrong way, and the room just got tense, with the homegirls, and they ended up separating. So Issa's sitting with Kelly, and Issa starts talking to Kelly about Molly, And she's like, do you notice anything that's going on between Molly and I? And, Kelly was oblivious. She had no idea. And basically, Issa's point was that Molly acts like her life is perfect, and that Issa feels like Molly's been coming at her neck lately about the decisions that she makes, about basically everything that she does. Which, I think is cool, because in the 4th episode, with all the little snotty, snippy things that are going on, we finally hear it from Issa's mouth. And then I'm about to talk to you about what Molly said. You both are hearing it from these ladies' mouths, what really the issue is. They're confiding in, another friend who knows all of them mutually, and then, she's confiding in them and just asking them questions. And you finally really hear, what Issa's problem is with Molly. And then so Lawrence comes back and Kelly said, so Lawrence comes in while Issa and Kelly are talking, and Kelly said, while she was looking at Lawrence, said he's looking like a provider. And it's just little stuff like that, which goes back to Issa's point where she said, I got Lawrence when, he ain't had shit, when he was the startup, he was the come up guy. And, now he really has his shit together and he can really do some shit, and it just sucks that I can't reap the benefits of that. And by Kelly making that statement, that even further, nails that point in the head, and that sucks, because I've definitely been there. And I want to say that when Kelly says things, I feel like Kelly says things just off the humble, like on some completely just, no shade, because it is, I feel like if Molly would have said it, maybe Issa would have been like, what? I just feel like when Kelly says stuff, it's definitely more like it's really sincere and just off the cuff. Whereas when Molly says stuff, it's a little bit more calculated. So Lawrence asked Issa if they could talk. So Issa said yes. So Issa and Lawrence go outside and they get to talking. So the scene goes to Molly, and she's upstairs talking to Tiffany. And Molly happens to look out the window and sees Lawrence and Issa talking. Now, this is the messy shit that Molly has been talking about. You keep wanting to be around this nigga. You keep wanting to be doing this, and the third. And here you are talking with him. So she got, Molly starts talking to Tiffany about Issa. And as she's talking to Tiffany about Issa, she pulls out her phone and she cancels on Andrew again. Okay? And then so basically Molly says that she doesn't appreciate how Issa, comes at her and calls her, the old Molly, when the whole time she's downstairs talking to Lawrence right now. And so, again, we're kind of learning what these ladies' problems is. Molly feels like, okay, you come at me, you're critiquing me, and you're doing the same shit as me. And Issa's thing is like, you think your life is perfect. You think God, like your life is not fucking perfect. Like, you know what I mean? I know you have the good job and everything, and, but you don't have to come at my neck because you're not perfect either. So Molly says, so I said that already. So Issa and Lawrence get to talking, and, one thing about being in a relationship with somebody, and I even have, experiences like this, is even if you guys fell out, even if you had a bad breakup, if you guys are able to kind of put that bullshit aside and just literally just be kind of cool and, platonic and whatever, you guys will always have the best vibes, because you guys know each other, intimately on another level. You guys know inside jokes. It just is what it is. And, it doesn't always have to be romantic in a way. But it's just like, damn, I spent years with this person. This person knows me literally inside and out. And when we have conversations, we just click. The conversations just click. Not saying that we're in love with each other. Not saying we're going to get back with each other. But the conversation, it just clicks, And that's how it was with Issa and Lawrence. They're cutting this shit. They're shooting the shit. They're having a good time. And, you can just tell they just clicked. And they just know each other, So Lawrence was about to talk to Issa and ask her, talk to her about some things. And Issa gets a call. So she steps to the side, she takes a phone call, and she realizes that Schoolboy Q, her headliner, has dropped out. Issa then spent, you know, money, printing thousands of flyers, you know, with Schoolboy's name already on it. So she's really pissed off. She's flustered. And, you know, she goes back and she tells Lawrence, like, hey, you know, I just lost my headliner. And Lawrence is like, you know what? It's cool. Like, we can just talk another time. So Issa's like, I think that's best. Like, I have shit to take care of. So Issa leaves. And she goes upstairs to the girls. And she's just basically in a rush. She's like, look, I really have to, you know, get out of here. And Molly's, you know, giving her the side eye. And she happens to look to her, you know, her side and sees, you know, Lawrence leaving out the side. And now Issa's, you know, having to leave. And, you know, she starts thinking in her head, like, y'all leaving together, like, you on the same old shit, you know. And my whole thing is, you know, Molly, you should have just asked. Like, why didn't you just ask? Like, you know, is everything okay? What are you doing? Like, where are you going? Like, whatever. Instead of just assuming that, you know, Issa's going to go hook up, with Lawrence. So anyway, Issa's trying to, you know, pump herself up, and she's at a point where even her own alter ego don't even have the energy to pump her ass up. That shit was scary how she, you know, scared her out the goddamn mirror. And she's trying to hit up, so you know, obviously, Issa doesn't have a headliner now. And she's going through social media trying to find people, and she comes across Beyonce's page. So she goes to Beyonce's page, and she starts typing out this message. And it was so funny, as she got halfway through the message, she just stopped and thought about it and just erased the message. Because she's like, Beyonce's literally not going to headline my fucking block party, you know. And then she kind of wised up and started to Google local artists. And then she ended up reaching out to DJ Mustard. So then the scene goes, Angie and Molly are finally out. They're finally out eating dinner. Molly did not cancel for work. She finally took time out of her schedule to meet up with Andrew and have a nice dinner. So they're eating, and Molly basically, you know, says, you know, Molly had the whole night planned out. You know, she goes, after dinner, you know, we're going to go do this. I got some edibles back at the house. We're going to have a good night. You know, then we're going to end it with some, you know, foo la la, da 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 da. And Andrew's like, oh, really? Like, I have plans with the guys, you know? And Molly said, what do you mean you have plans with the guys? Like, what? We're out. Like, I thought we were hanging out. And Andrew basically said, you know, you're always so busy with work. He said, I just didn't think that the night was going to end with a nightcap. I thought we were just having dinner, and that's why I made plans. Molly was pissed off about that, and the dinner got pretty quiet. She wants him to back up place. He says she always other plans. So Issa, after making a few phone calls and hitting up a few people, she finally realizes that Andrew, Molly's boyfriend, has some type of musical connection that could help her get a headliner. And so Issa calls Molly, and I think Molly was expecting it to be a phone call, you know, of them just kicking it and talking and just being homegirls and catching up. But Issa obviously had an agenda, and she called Molly and said, hey, you know, do you think that you can ask Andrew, you know, about this music shit so I can get this headliner jumping off? Molly starts grilling her, asking her all these questions. Well, what happened? Did you get a contract? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? And Issa was like, girl, I don't know all that shit you're talking about, but can you ask him? She said, yeah. She kind of had an attitude, but Molly agreed. She said, yeah, I'll ask Andrew about the connection. So the next scene, Molly pops up at Andrew's house with a bottle of wine and a cute trinket. And, you know, they get to talking. And Molly and Andrew just basically discussed his, you know, irritation with Molly's schedule. And, you know, Molly said, you know, we're just going to have to work something out if you're open to that. And Andrew was open to it, which is exciting. You know, and Molly just expressed, like, you know, I'm not really used to, you know, having to, you know, fit a boyfriend or fit someone I care about, so to speak, in my schedule. So, you know, it's something I'm going to have to get used to and learn, but it's something that I'm definitely open to. And so Molly calls Issa, and Issa answers the phone, and she's super excited and happy and just waiting to hear some good news from Molly, because she just knows for a fact that Molly asked Andrew for the connection, and Molly was calling her to give her the information that she needed. But Issa was sadly mistaken, because Molly said, I'm not asking Andrew about anything, you know, to help you out. You know what I mean? I just want to keep my friendship and my relationship, those two sectors of my life separate. And Issa was speechless. And obviously they got off the phone. Issa's trying to take a shower. Just trying to just take a shower, get some freshness about her. And she cuts her fucking water on, and it's fucking pouring out brown ass water. And it's just the cherry on the fucking icing, and the episode ends. Now, Molly not asking Andrew for the headliner connect for Issa. Now, being the Libra that I am, I see both sides of it. I can see how in Molly's head, Molly feels like Issa has had so much shit to say, and when in regards to her relationship with Andrew, you know, Molly, you're doing this, like, oh, don't scare him off, like, you know, oh, you have a problem with that. And now that, you know, the rocky stage between Andrew and her relationship is over, so to speak, you know, that, you know, beginning stages and just ruffling everything out and getting to know each other, now that that's over and they really are kind of on this steady momentum, she's like, girl, I don't want you to be a part of that. Because wasn't last week you was telling me I was doing this, I shouldn't have done that, and I should have done this, and, you know, I should do this and whatever, and you've been, to Molly, super negative about my relationship. I just want to keep that shit separate. You're a mess over there. This is Molly's head. You're a mess over there. I just want to keep my relationship with Mike. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just keep it separate. I can also see on Issa's side, like, okay, girl, even if you want to keep the relationship between you and Andrew separate, between the relationship between you and I don't even have to see Andrew. I don't have to have a conversation with Andrew. I don't have to meet up with you and Andrew for drinks and brunch and things like that. You know, me and Andrew don't have a relationship. It would have been nothing for you to simply just ask for the connect, and you send me an email with the connect. I don't have to talk to Andrew. Now, you know, I could probably send him maybe a thank you card in the mail, you know, to show my appreciation if that's what you prefer. But you'd rather me miss out on an opportunity for, you know, a huge project that I'm working on because you want to keep your relationship, so to speak, separate from me because I'm such this whatever person. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Now, if it were me, if I were Molly, I would have asked Andrew and I would have given it to Issa because Issa asked me and I said I would do it. After I did that, though, I then would have had a conversation following that, expressing my feelings about wanting to keep everything separate. That's what I would have done. And if I was Issa, I would be mad as shit if I was Issa. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I would be mad as shit because me, I'm the type of friend, like, I'm the type of person, you know, friends mean a lot to me. You know, and I say that because I feel like a lot in my life, my friends have been the people that have been closest to me. And sometimes the people that really help me out and really look out for me and the people that I share my lowest of lows with and my highest of highs, you know. And my relationships and my friendships are really important to me. So I would do anything, you know, man, no man. this or that, you know. I mean, of course, if it doesn't hinder a relationship with God, my relationship with God, I will go to the end of the earth for my friends. Like, I don't care, you know what I mean? Unless it interferes, you know, obviously if I ever get married, you know, there's different things, you know. But for the most part, if it's something that I can do that's not going to, you know, affect anything, you know what I mean? I'm going to do that for my friends. Like, that's the type of person that I am. And, you know, as I've gotten older, you damn sure realize and know that just because you are that type of friend doesn't mean that other people are those types of friends either. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. But after that, it really started going off in my head. Yeah, Issa and Molly ain't finna be friends for too much longer. They ain't finna be friends for too much longer because that's a lot. And that's sticky. So, I'm curious to know what Lawrence had to say to Molly. I'm curious to know what Lawrence had to say to Issa. I'm curious to see where Issa and Molly's relationship goes. I'm curious to see where the fuck Condola at. Because Condola, you was acting all confident and cool or whatever about it. And now all of a sudden you know where to be found, girl. And I'm over here drowning, trying to find headliners and trying to do the most. And you know where to be found. If you don't want to be a part of the project, just say you don't want to be a part of the project. Ciao. Well, that's that on that. I will be here next week giving a review. And until next time, deuces.